Hello and welcome to day 3 of our continuing coverage from the World Economic Forum here in Davos. As usual, we bring you a mix of global and Indian voices on all that's buzzing in the world of economy and technology. We in fact spoke to Arvind Krishna, the global CEO of IBM early on, and he spoke about the potential of India. He was particularly bullish on the opportunities stemming out of digital public goods. He said IBM sees huge opportunities there. We also asked him about ChatGPT, the AI chatbot that's been giving many CXOs sleepless nights, and what IBM makes of these advancements. Remember, we are also speaking to him on a day when Microsoft has announced another round of layoffs. So we did ask IBM CEO Arvind Krishna about what IBM will do in India going forward. He said that IBM continues to invest in India and that they see no reason to reduce headcount. Moving away from IBM to a big voice from India Inc., and that is Telecom czar Sunil Bharti Mittal, the promoter of Bharti Enterprises. We asked him about India's position in a precarious global economy, reforms the government needs to undertake to further improve the ease of doing business, and also Bharti's plans for 5G services. Let's listen in. We're in conversation with Mr. Sunil Bharti Mittal. Thank you very much for talking to Moneycontrol. Tell us about what the mood's been like at Davos this year, at least on the India side. You know, there seems to be more optimism compared to the global counterparts. What are you picking up from your conversations and bilateral meetings?
Well, you're absolutely right. Almost everybody I meet, they're quite surprised at how confident Indian leaders are here in Davos this year. Especially in comparison to the Western world CEOs who are here. India does have a special position in the world today. Georgieva Kristalina, president of IMF, also singularly called out India as a bright spot. Within that, the digital stack, an area where we work very strongly in the digital space, being one of the reasons. So I think India is in a good shape at the moment. FDI is really up. Foreign remittances from Indian diaspora is over $100 billion. Manufacturing is looking up. So there's a very strong resolve in the country to use this opportunity, the tailwinds that we are getting, whether it's China +1 or Europe +1, to get this thing in good shape.
Right. I remember you had, posted when you got the spectrum allocation letter on the ease of doing business. But anything else that needs to be done with respect to removing the red tape and rolling out the red carpet like the Prime Minister has been saying?
I think it's a journey. Our Prime Minister comes from the strong belief of making, all the rules and regulations easy to implement, easy to follow. He is very high on compliance, but equally he wants ease of doing business. So I think we have a resolve. State governments need to also step up. In the end, we are a federal structure. Central government really is moving a lot on the ease of doing business. But when you go into states, you need to get that fully plugged in as well. So I think it's a journey. Things are getting better and better. I can talk about telecom. What we didn't see from 23, 24 years has happened in the last 1 year. Rationalization of permissions, ROW, import licenses, tower permissions, AGR definition, SUC abolition. So there's a lot of things that have happened, good things have happened.
Since you mentioned telecom, sir, 5G services, have taken off in India. Tell us about Bharti Airtel's plans. What kind of investments, growth, network expansion do you foresee this year?
Well, we are feverishly rolling out 5G, starting with the key cities. It's going on. We have a commitment by March 24. We should be able to complete our mission of 5G everywhere. So it's going on and only accelerate as we move forward.
Do you think there's going to be a price war in 5G as well? Or, has there sort of been rationalization in the space with very few incumbents actually left today?
No, you need the prices to go up. We all know that. We need, ARPU of 300 rupees a month, which will still be by far the cheapest, consuming 60 gigabytes a month. So India needs to have an appropriate pricing mechanism. I hope we will get to that point.
What is your take on Vodafone idea? It sort of seems to be in a limbo. Do you think India Telecom will sort of become a duopoly? BSNL also, they are trying to do something about it. Your take on these two issues, sir? Vodafone idea as well as BSNL.
Every company has to fend for themselves. You need to, this industry requires a lot of investment, as you know. I mean, there's serious investment, especially now with 5G, payment for spectrum, payment for new networks. So it's a constant investment. This is a treadmill where you are on. You feel you're running, but more or less you have the same space many a times. So it's a serious capital-intensive industry. I don't know about their plans. You have to ask them. But as far as we are concerned, we are powering on.
Right. Final couple of questions, sir. What are your broader plans, to capture more of the digital economy with more and more content getting consumed on OTT? You also have plans through the OneWeb Alliance. If you can just take us through your plans.
Well, digital is an area which I think India has very clearly realized is an advantage it has. As if the Indian stack is being talked about, is frugal stack, serving 1.4 billion people, whether it's identity or it's payment or it's data storage. Everything is working seamlessly at a very low cost. I mean, the whole world is taking a notice. The emerging world is coming to us to take all those goodies into their own countries. And we'll start to see that going into Africa, Latin America, other emerging markets. And as far as the infrastructure is concerned, that's where we are operating, laying out a fantastic 5G infrastructure so that all the young startup India activities and initiatives can ride on them. I mean, I've met many of them here. They're so grateful that the Indian infrastructure is affordable, is available. And I think that's firing up a lot of things. As far as OneWeb is concerned, we're very excited of providing broadband through space. And another 2 launches to go. Hopefully in the next 60 days, we'll have a global constellation.
On the budget, sir, with just 2 weeks to go, any expectations that you have?
Well, I think you have to, again, give credit to the government. Government has a firm resolve. There are limitations. There are lots of demands on the government. There are different segments of society which need money. And I think the industry will be taken care of in its own respect. In the end, industry must step up and fend for itself as well.
Right. On that note, thank you very much, Mr. Mittal, for talking to us on a very snowy Davos. Away from Bharti to another big corporate voice, we caught up with Infosys CEO Salil Parekh, who's here in Davos to meet a whole host of his clients from Europe to North America. We asked him what the mood was like in terms of client budgets, what the next year is going to look like, and if there's going to be a great reset in IT where growth could moderate to single digits. Listen in to what he had to say. We're in conversation with Salil Parekh, the CEO of Infosys. Salil, first of all, we're so used to meeting you at Electronic City in Bengaluru, so it's really great to meet you here at the World Economic Forum at Davos. Thank you very much for talking to Moneycontrol. Tell me how the last couple of days have been. Have you been meeting clients? What are your clients telling you? What's the mood like here? Because it seems to be a mixed bag as of now.
So thanks, Chandra. Lovely to meet you here. I've had a lot of discussions with clients here already, extremely packed in terms of the sessions. The clients I found have been quite positive. So there's 2 sort of discussions. One is focused still on the digital change that's going on. That's in a few industries. Look at energy, utilities, manufacturing. And then another area which is on cost, automation, efficiency, which is across all industries. We see that in financial services, we see that in tech, we see that in telco. So a lot of good discussions coming on right now. We see a great opportunity for the tech business overall. We will see how the next year's comes about. This year, as you know, we increased the guidance for the March.
That's right. When you say clients are optimistic, again, can you break this down for us? Are these American clients, European clients? Because again, it's very different. While, Europeans are pessimistic because of Ukraine and other factors, there is expectation that America will bounce back quicker, because that's sort of been the pattern. So again, are you seeing differences in your conversations with clients from North America vis-a-vis Europe?
So today, we have not seen that difference. It's more the difference by industry. European clients, at least the ones I've met, also have the same view depending on the industry they are in. One of the things that's clear is the talk of where the economy is more than what you see on reality on the ground. So what people are saying, for example, is the consumer behavior is still quite robust. Overall, the environment is still got views that in the course of this calendar year, things are starting to look positive and positive.
Right. In terms of the net addition numbers, Salil, and this is a pattern that we saw across the top IT companies this time. So does the low net addition number indicate slowing growth? Because headcount addition is still a very strong indicator when it comes to future growth. So what does that say? And, is this a sign of the quarters to come as well? Or was this a Q3 phenomenon?
So for us, as you saw, we had a positive net addition.
But lower, compared to previous quarters.
So less than in the past quarters.
Yeah.
We had last year growth of about 20%. This year, our guidance, which we increased, is 16 to 16.5%. And we've had very large recruitment through the last several quarters. So one of the things we are very clear on is to make sure that we moderate it in line with where we see the expectations going. And also, as Nilanjan had shared during our press event, we are making sure that all of the training for the college graduates goes on with strength. For us, also Q3 and Q4 seasonally weak quarters. Having said that, overall our growth in the quarter was near 14%. Whereas the past year was 20%. So we do see that growth less than last year, but it's still a good level of growth for us.
Right. JP Morgan in a recent report spoke about a great reset that's coming for the IT sector, where they said that growth will moderate to, mid-single digits, I think 6 to 7%. Do you agree with that projection? Is double-digit growth here to stay?
So there, Chandra, the next year's growth outlook we will definitely share in April. But what is clear is because we have two engines of growth, one is on digital and one is on cost automation, we are seeing good traction. So our digital also grew in Q3. Our core services, which is focused on cost automation, also grew in Q3. And that is going to give us resilience in whatever environment that shows up.
But will next year see double-digit growth as well?
So there again, the next year's number we will be more clearly sharing in April. So our focus today is on the March year-ending number. But in April, we'll share the next year's growth number.
But do you expect a moderation?
We will share the number itself next year. We see a growth in Q3. We actually increased our guidance for the year. So we will see how that plays out as we come into the end of Q4.
Right. Final few questions, Salil. In terms of the runway for cloud services, right? There is a sense that enterprises have overinvested in cloud and now they are looking to optimize their spends there. Do you still believe there's a lot of runway? Because, this is an area that's really helped bolster your growth.
So in cloud, as you know, our Infosys Cobalt has done really well. I've already had discussions with several of the cloud players here in the World Economic Forum. They remain optimistic about what their growth outlook is. While the growth is down from the very high numbers to still very good growth, we see from our client base, again, different by different industry, still a lot of opportunity in the cloud space. But cloud really is both infra as a service, software as a service, and platform as a service. So anything new that is being built is also being built cloud first, and that's where we see all the opportunities.
Right. How do you see ChatGPT replacing, writing code as we know it, or playing a role in IT services? You, of course, made an early investment in OpenAI. So, how are you looking at leveraging this going forward, and how could this potentially disrupt IT services as we know it?
So there, what we've seen is generative AI typically is very supportive of what we can do in enhancing productivity, in enhancing what we do with traditional automation efforts. So we've been using generative AI in many of the areas in automation already. There are, of course, tools, for example, Copilot and others, which help you to do some element of coding. What we are seeing are some benefits. There's different levels of productivity improvement from within about 5%, sometimes as much as 15%. So we are seeing more and more of that enhancement, and there we are able to then bring in more work that can be done within our teams for using these generative AIs.
Right. Finally, Salil, give us a peek into what your Davos schedule looks like. How many meetings do you usually manage to do, in the 3-4 days that you're here? When does your day start? When does your day end? How do you sort of get by?
So here, as you know well, it's intense.
And at -6 and -11 degrees.
It's an intense set of meetings, so it's very productive. For us, for me, we are able to get several meetings starting, as early as 7 in the morning, going all the way to about 8-9 for meetings, and then usually some sort of a event over dinner with clients or with other partners and so on. So extremely intense but very productive. And what the World Economic Forum is doing, really focus on improving how the world economy, how the people around the world are coming together, is extremely helpful.
On that note, thank you very much for talking to Money Control. Thank you, Salil. Away from global corporate voices, India corporate voices to startup voices. Now, Byjus is the world's most valued edtech. It's India's biggest unicorn, but it's also been under fire for a whole host of controversies, from a delay in filing their audit report to layoffs to their growth policies. We caught up with Byju Ravindran and Divya Gokulnath, who are here at the World Economic Forum, to ask them about some of these issues. This was a very candid chat where Byju Ravindran and Divya Gokulnath both were very confident about the future of their business. They said that the stakeholders who matter, which are their employees and investors, don't have the same concerns compared to the noise emanating from the media outside. They also said the worst is over for Byjus and that we will see the results of their growth in 6 months' time. Let's listen in. How 2023 is turning out for you? How is business? Because when we talk to startups, January has started off not on a great note. We've been reporting layoff stories everywhere for various unicorns. But how are things looking for Byjus this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
2022 been a tough year for us.
Yeah.
So 2023 can only be better. So we're fast moving towards a sustainable long-term, still with strong fundamentals. So 2023 is going to be a much better year for us in terms of both India as well as some of the core segments which we have started scaling in other markets.
Yeah, and in terms of building, so we're building for the way in which students are learning now, the new way of learning, which is hybrid. So we launched 300 hybrid learning centers last year. We plan to do 300 more this year. So we're adapting quickly to the new normal. And if anything, I think the last 6 to 8 months have been very nice for us in terms of the kind of us going deeper and us going broader as well in terms of what we have to offer to students.
But Byju, what we've noticed post-pandemic is the pandemic-led boost that many edtechs got. That has kind of been receding. And as you said, you're opening up many hybrid centers. But is there still a demand for your services? What kind of traction are you seeing?
Yeah, so unlike the COVID pullback, which you see in certain segments of EdTech, our core segment, which is K-12 and learning at home, we see continued momentum. We still expect good growth to happen from, we saw growth from 21 to 22, and that's continuing from 22 to 23. We have added to make sure that all types of students can learn from us. We have added more formats, and that's what we were talking about in terms of hybrid learning centers. After seeing success of hybrid model in Akash, after the Akash acquisition, we saw that there is an opportunity to scale that even within Byjus for the 4 to 10 age, grade 4 to grade 10. So we are seeing growth in our core segment, which is learning app segment, as well as the newly launched hybrid learning centers. And there are certain sectors in EdTech, in not necessarily in India, but other parts of the world where there is COVID pullback. There is this narrative going around that because people are earning more, so they are not learning, but that those things are not applicable to India. And as such, this is a recession-proof segment. Beyond that, these are very early days for online learning. Pandemic accelerated the behavior in terms of people trying out online learning. but there's a long way to go before we can even think of it's still single-digit penetration in terms of number of students who are learning from online platforms.
Would you say the worst is over for Byjus? Because 2022, we've seen a lot of controversies in terms of the operations, business, accounting, investors. I mean, it's a long list. But, is that sort of the low point? Can things only become better from now on? Or is there still some cleaning up to do? How do you see it, Fanny?
So if I have to say it right in one sentence, and we've come to learn that a lot in 2022, that we are pioneers in edtech and not in perfection. So there are a lot of things that we've learned, and we've learned as we've grown. We've built on first principles. There was no rule book or playbook to go by. So there are a lot of things that we've done basis, intuition, of course, and a lot of numbers, because for us, everywhere the answer always lies in, where do the numbers lie, and that's when you take decisions in that direction. So 2022 also, in fact, was a very good year for us, because what the pandemic did solve for was one of the challenges, which was awareness. So post-pandemic, we have a lot of awareness. So we're also shifting to a new model where we don't really need to go to someone's house, to create more awareness about the product. We're able to do all of this centrally. So we're bettering our processes. We're learning as we're growing. And if anything, I think it can only get better in 2023.
You want to add to that?
Yeah, so so we have revamped a lot of it in Byju's version 2. You're going to see that worst is over. Just to answer your question, it's very clearly over.
I remember the last time we spoke, you said you haven't slept in many months or something like that. So has your sleeping pattern improved? Is that a sign that perhaps things are getting better?
People always ask me.
Or are you still having sleepless nights?
People always ask me what gives me sleepless nights. I tell them that when there is, when you're privileged to make such a big impact, right? When things are going good or when things are going not so great, there is no scope for complacency. So it's not necessarily because of the pressure which was there for the last 6 months, but it's so exciting that
has gone away, or
I see at this scale when you are we are in all segments of edtech now, starting from K-12, where we have our Byju's learning app and Byju's classes and Byju's tuition centers. We have also, with Akash acquisition, we have made a strong entry in the test prep segment, and that segment is also growing very well. With a great learning acquisition, and that's doing well. Everyone talks about the one acquisition which has not worked well, but we have
which is White Hat Junior.
And where there is strong product market fit in new markets, we've not yet figured out the go-to-market strategy. So cost of acquisition is high over there, but otherwise all our other, in fact, even bigger acquisitions, whether it's Akash, whether it's Great Learning, they're all growing very nicely. And at the company level, with a clear focus towards efficient growth and sustainable growth, by end of this quarter, early next quarter, our aim is to achieve profitability at the group level.
Byju and Divya, how are you going to reassure your various stakeholders? And I'm not just talking about the media, but investors, employees, former employees, stakeholders, that, Byju's is going to be this enduring enterprise that will last for the next 5 years, 10 years, or even 20 years, because there is a lot of bad news surrounding Byju's, or rather there was a lot of bad news surrounding Byju's in the last year. So again, how does that impact you, and how do you sort of keep the faith and ensure that this is going to be an enduring enterprise?
The question is more relevant for the people who are closest to the action. So I'll add and then you can add on. So that would be A, employees, and B, investors, right? Now, if you look at what's happening, especially in the core team, from the first 300 employees, 260 people are still with us. Nobody from the founding team has left, and none of the investors have left. So if you ask me, the people closest to the action, those who know the reality and how it's growing and how we're doing as an organization and as a group of companies, know that if anything, we are stronger than ever. And that, even though the macro is changing so much, we are very strong in our foundation, because we were not built for the pandemic, or we were not built, for a situation like this. So education has always been recession proof, or any proof, pandemic proof also, I can say. So those who are closest to the action actually see this. So the question that you asked me, right? Our key stakeholders, in fact, are, if anything, more confident than ever before. And Byju can add on, but
yeah. So it's like to answer that question objectively, those who are closest to action, they're not worried. They're not anxious at all, because how will you measure that? What you will see if there are real issues on the ground? What's the first thing which you will see? You will see top level exits. There is not a single top level exit. Let me repeat that. There is not a single top level exit in the last 12 months. With so much noise in the media. So, and people, that's why I was telling you that, let the world think that edtech is struggling, Byju's is struggling. Give us 6 months and take it from there.
Time to then end the show with a YouTube star. Now, she has millions and millions of followers across social media platforms. We're talking about Prajakta Koli. Now, she's been drafted by WEF as one of the 6 YouTubers globally to bring people updates on what exactly is happening at World Economic Forum. Well, we asked Prajakta Koli to do something different for us. We asked her to become a reporter for Moneycontrol and bring us updates from WEF. Let's see if Prajakta did a good job. Prajakta, you're our correspondent for Moneycontrol today.
Okay.
Thank you for covering the World Economic Forum
You're
for
welcome.
Moneycontrol.
Anything for an old friend.
Please introduce the World Economic Forum, Davos, what you've been up to the viewers of Moneycontrol.
Okay, hey everybody, that is a viewer of Moneycontrol. I'm Prajakta Koli reporting live from the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, and I'm very happy to have Chandra here with us. How's it going for you? Are you having fun?
Does it look like I'm having fun?
I'm having fun. I'll take this any day to like the Mumbai weather, any day.
To the Mumbai weather?
Yeah,
Seriously, if
yeah.
you had said Delhi, I would have still agreed with you.
I'll take this for Mumbai. I don't want the Mumbai weather. Like for a week, I'm very happy to be here.
So tell me what you've been up to here. Who have you been meeting? What conversations have you been hearing? Has it all been this heavy duty economy growth?
Not really,
slowdown?
actually. I'm very happy to be here and actually be in rooms where people are having conversations that I'm understanding. Because that is one of the biggest problems, right? Like you come to places like this and everything is like big talk and you're just like, what is the terminology? Like I don't understand what they just said. But
So do you have to keep Googling?
yes, I do that all the time. But I love it because I was at the goal number 5 dinner yesterday, and it was the most amazing women from across the world speaking about things so passionately, and I couldn't have asked for anything else. I'm very happy to be here.
So again, for the viewers of Moneycontrol, Prajakta's top 5 takes from World Economic Forum. क्या-क्या सीखा आपने? क्या-क्या पसंद आया? क्या-क्या बोलना चाहते हैं?
Okay, number 5. दुनिया भर के जितने भी smartest, wise people हैं, who are actually doing work that's actionable, सारे एक जगह पे हैं, which is rare. कि आप किसी भी कमरे में चले जाओ, किसी भी रूम में आप किसी भी चैट में जाके बैठ जाओ, there is something you will learn, and I think that's very powerful. Number 4, I'm very happy to see there's a lot of representation from young people from across the world, and it's so reassuring because again you have a familiar face, you have a familiar age group, और कोई अगर कुछ बोलता है तो आपकी समझ में आ जाती है बात एकदम से. So it's not just pie diagrams and numbers and charts, it's actually stories that are making a difference. So number 4 is that, lots of representation from young people. Number 3, बहुत सारी fresh perspective. जैसे जो मैं कह रही थी, I was at the dinner last night and how we keep talking about equality. There were so many newer, fresher perspectives I heard last night at dinner, and I was like, hey, I've not thought of gender equality like that. And you couldn't do that anywhere else but here, because where else are you going to find these people in one place? Another thing which I think you should come to WEF or listen to everyone at WEF is to understand that because we have so many influential people who obviously have a lot of money coming here, you understand that जब आप ऐसी पोजीशन में होते हो जहाँ आपके पास बहुत सारे पैसे आ जाते हैं तो उसके साथ बहुत सारा पर्पस और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आती है, एंड समटाइम्स यू डोंट नो हाउ टू गो अबाउट इट, बट देन यू सी दीज पीपल डूइंग वर्क दैट इज एक्चुअली मेकिंग अ डिफरेंस ऑन द ग्राउंड एंड यू आर लाइक, ओके, so this is how money can be used, and it's actually much easier than you think it is. So that's the thing. And number 1, why won't you listen to anything that's happening at the WEF? Why not? It's great. It's a lot of knowledge. It's very educational. It's very, very inspiring. And I am loving all the conversations I've had here.
तो क्या-क्या कंटेंट बना रहे हो आप? Because you're one of the global YouTubers chosen, handpicked by WEF to, put together content. What's the most favorite thing or the most fun thing that you enjoyed curating here?
The most fun thing I'm doing is that I'm literally just walking around rooms and meeting inspiring women and asking them one question. और वो question क्या है? उसके लिए आप मेरे को Instagram पे follow करना.
Moneycontrol को फॉलो करेंगे.
तो Moneycontrol जब मेरा वीडियो शेयर करेगा तो आप वहाँ पे देखिएगा.
Quid pro quo. You share ours, we'll share yours.
Fair enough.
But apart from that, Prajakta, for all the young viewers who want to be content creator like you, Give us 3 tips and tricks that will hold them in good stead, that will always work. क्या करना पड़ता है to become a hit sensation, a hit internet sensation?
Honestly, एक तो look at it as a full time job. हॉबी की तरह ट्रीट करोगे तो हॉबी की तरह ही बन के रह जाएगा. अगर आप इसको जनरली ट्रीट करोगे तो फिर वैसे ही रहेगा. लेकिन अगर आप पूरा पूरा माइट लगाओगे और आप चाहते हो कि आपकी जॉब बन जाए, ट्रीट इट लाइक अ जॉब. वेक अप एवरी डे एंड गो टू वर्क. Do it. Put in those hours, put in that prep, put in that much energy. So that's number 1. Number 2, no amount of fancy equipment will ever match up to content. So don't compromise on content. As long as you have that, I think everything else can be secondary. And number 3, इंटरनेट लंबा खेल है. ऐसा नहीं है कि अचानक से आ गए, एक वीडियो चल गई, सेंसेशन बन गए, चलो ग्रेट डन पैक अप. ऐसा नहीं है. एक चल जाए. कितने साल लगा to really become a sensation? I don't know. I feel like this world is so big कि sensation का मतलब भी बड़ा subjective सा है. क्योंकि I'm pretty sure there's many parts of my own country जहाँ पे किसी ने मेरा नाम भी नहीं सुना होगा. So how do you call yourself a sensation? I'm very happy that I have a reach and an impact where I can have conversations that make change, and I'm very grateful for that. But sensation honestly is a very subjective term. So you never know. One person's top, it's a triangle. One person's top is another person's bottom. You never know. लेकिन हाँ, लंबा खेल है तो patience रखो. Patience रखो. Finally, Prajakta, you know, every person who comes to Davos goes away with some secret tips, some hangout, some coffee that they liked, pizza that they liked, food that they liked at a particular place. Give us 2 things you picked up on your first trip to Davos. I mean, it's only my second day yet, but the coffee here is great. It's so good. I've had way too much, if you can't tell from my eyes already. And I've heard a lot about this Italian place. I think I'm going to go there for dinner tonight. I'll let you know how that goes. Awesome. On that note, thank you very much. This is Prajakta Koli reporting for Money Control. Thank you. On that note then, that brings us to the end of day 3 of this bulletin that we are bringing to you from the World Economic Forum. Stay tuned to Money Control for all the updates.